Have you ever imagined a life so incredible that it almost felt real? Maybe you pictured your dream house before you earned your first dollar. Maybe you imagined thousands of people applauding your success. Maybe you've already lived your future 100 times inside your mind. But somehow nothing changed outside your head. Days became weeks. Weeks quietly turned into years. Your dreams stayed exactly where they started, inside your imagination. This isn't laziness. It isn't a lack of intelligence. And it definitely isn't bad luck. Your brain is playing a dangerous game against you. A game that feels productive while secretly keeping you exactly where you are. The strange part is that it feels good. Every fantasy gives you a small reward. Every imagined success feels almost real. Your brain doesn't always know the difference. That's where the trap begins. The more vividly you imagine success, the less urgent taking action begins to feel. Without noticing it, you start replacing progress with possibility. You become addicted to potential instead of reality. And potential is comfortable. Reality demands sacrifice. Potential lets you stay perfect forever. Reality forces you to risk looking ordinary. That's why so many brilliant people never begin. Not because they're incapable, because dreaming protects them from failure. As long as the dream stays inside your head, nobody can judge it. Nobody can reject it. Nobody can prove you weren't good enough. Your mind learns something terrifying. Doing nothing feels safer than trying. Every day you delay, the fantasy becomes even more beautiful. The future version of you grows richer, smarter, stronger, more confident. Meanwhile, the real version quietly stands still. This creates a painful illusion. You feel busy. You feel inspired. You feel like you're getting closer. But nothing in your life actually moves. Your brain mistakes emotional excitement for real progress. That's one of the biggest psychological illusions ever discovered. You don't need success to feel successful. Sometimes your imagination is enough. And that's exactly why people stay trapped for years. They aren't chasing their dreams anymore. They're chasing the feeling their dreams create. Those are two completely different things. And understanding that difference might change your entire life. The reason this happens goes much deeper than a lack of discipline. Your brain is designed to save energy whenever it can. Thousands of years ago, wasting energy could mean starving to death. Today, your brain still follows those ancient rules. It constantly looks for the easiest way to feel rewarded. That's why imagining success can become more attractive than earning it. A single fantasy costs almost nothing. Real progress demands discomfort, uncertainty, and repeated failure. Your brain naturally chooses the cheaper option. Every time you picture yourself becoming successful, famous, wealthy, or admired, your reward system quietly activates. Dopamine begins to rise. Not because you've achieved something, but because your brain believes you're getting closer. For a brief moment, you experience the emotion without completing the work. It feels harmless. But repeated often enough, your brain starts learning the wrong lesson. Why struggle for months when imagination delivers a similar emotional reward in seconds? This is why some people spend years planning instead of building. They research endlessly. They buy courses. They redesign their goals. They watch motivational videos every night. They tell themselves they're preparing. But preparation slowly becomes another form of escape. The hardest part isn't failing. It's realizing you've been busy without actually moving forward. Many people confuse consuming information with creating results. They believe another book will finally unlock discipline. Another podcast will reveal the secret. Another productivity system will change everything. But knowledge without action slowly turns into entertainment. You feel productive because your mind stays stimulated. Yet your life remains exactly the same. This creates a dangerous cycle. The less progress you make, the more inspiration you consume. The more inspiration you consume, the less urgent real action feels. Eventually, motivation itself becomes an addiction. You start chasing the emotional high instead of the outcome. That's why some people can spend years talking about their future without taking the first uncomfortable step. Deep down, they're protecting something far more valuable than success. They're protecting their identity. As long as they never truly try, they never have to discover what they're actually capable of. And for many people, uncertainty feels less painful than the possibility of discovering their limits. That's the invisible prison almost nobody notices until years have already disappeared. Most people believe fear is what stops them. But fear is only the surface. Underneath it lives something much stronger. The fear of losing the version of yourself you've been protecting for years. Inside your mind, you're still the person who could become anything. A millionaire, an artist, an entrepreneur, someone everyone admires. As long as you never fully commit, every future remains possible. The moment you take action, those fantasies collide with reality. Reality doesn't care about your potential. It only responds to what you repeatedly do. That's why the first attempt often feels unbearable. It threatens the identity you've carefully built inside your imagination. A single rejection suddenly feels like proof that maybe you weren't as special as you believed. Your brain hates that possibility, so it invents excuses that sound completely reasonable. I'll start when I have more time. I need better equipment. I should learn a little more first. Next month will be different. Every excuse protects your ego while stealing your future. The dangerous part is that these excuses rarely feel like lies. They feel responsible. They feel logical. They feel smart. That's exactly why they're so effective. You don't notice you're avoiding action because your brain disguises avoidance as preparation. Days become months. Months become years. One day you wake up realizing you've been waiting for the perfect moment your entire life. But perfection was never coming. It never existed. The people you admire didn't start because they felt ready. They started while feeling confused, insecure, and completely unprepared. They embarrassed themselves. They made terrible mistakes. They looked inexperienced. And that's precisely why they improved. Confidence is almost never the beginning of action. It's the result of surviving action over and over again. Every successful person you've ever admired has one thing in common. They stopped negotiating with discomfort. They accepted that feeling uncertain wasn't a warning. It was simply the price of growing. The moment you understand this, your entire perspective changes. You stop asking, "How do I feel?" and start asking, "What needs to be done today?" That single question separates people who spend their lives imagining success from those who eventually live it. Now comes the part almost nobody wants to hear. Your life isn't shaped by your biggest dreams. It's shaped by your smallest daily decisions. Not the promises you make at midnight. Not the motivation you feel after watching an inspiring video. Not the version of yourself you imagine becoming someday. Only the actions you repeat when nobody is watching. Your future is built quietly, one decision at a time. Every time you choose comfort over progress, your brain remembers. Every time you avoid something difficult, the habit grows stronger. Eventually, hesitation becomes automatic. You stop making conscious choices. Your routines begin making them for you. That's why changing your life feels so difficult. You're not fighting one bad habit. You're fighting thousands of invisible repetitions. But here's the good news. The same process works in reverse. Every uncomfortable action sends your brain a new message. Every promise you actually keep changes your identity a little more. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wants success. You begin seeing yourself as someone who earns it. That's the difference most people never understand. Identity doesn't create action. Action creates identity. You don't become confident and then take risks. You take risks until confidence catches up. You don't become disciplined before starting. You become disciplined by continuing when you don't feel like it. Every difficult choice becomes evidence. Evidence that you're changing. Evidence that you're becoming someone different. Small actions may look meaningless today, but your brain is always collecting proof about who you are. Miss one workout and nothing changes. Skip one opportunity and life goes on. Delay one project and tomorrow still comes. The danger isn't one decision. It's the story repeated hundreds of times. Eventually, your brain accepts that story as your identity. I'm someone who always waits. I'm someone who never finishes. I'm someone who starts tomorrow. Once those beliefs take root, they begin controlling your behavior without permission. That's why breaking the cycle feels impossible. You're no longer fighting your circumstances. You're fighting the person you've convinced yourself you are. The only way out is to interrupt the story. Not with words. Not with motivation. With action. Small, uncomfortable, undeniable action. Because every action is a vote for the person you're becoming. And after enough votes, your old identity quietly disappears. Look around you. Almost everything you admire was once built by someone who felt exactly like you do now. They doubted themselves. They questioned their abilities. They wondered if they were wasting their time. The difference wasn't talent. It wasn't luck. It wasn't perfect timing. The difference was simple. They refused to let uncertainty make their decisions. Every day they showed up before they believed in themselves. Every day they chose progress over comfort. They understood something most people